chapter 3 of the third treatise of A Course of Love, the true self. Your personal self is dear to you and dear to me as well. I've always loved you because I have always recognized you. What cannot be recognized or know cannot be loved. While your ego has been lovable, has not been.
It's not.
Yes.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. All right, be on to me. Oh my God, this is so beautiful. While your ego has not been lovable, you have always been. Feel that. Loved by God. Oh. You are the beloved of God. Isn't that beautiful? Undoubtedly. While your ego has not been lovable. What was this? Has been, eh? While your ego has not been lovable, you have always been. Here is where you need realize that the personal self that is dear to you is not your ego self and never has been. Oh.
Oh, I always thought personal self meant ego self.
It's good to be wrong, isn't it? All of your personal characteristics are nothing more than a persona that has served the ego faithfully. All of your traits have been chosen either in accordance with ego's desires or in opposition to them. Whether they be in accord or in opposition, their source has still been the ego. These traits, whether you see them as good or bad, or somewhere in between, are what you have seen as making you lovable and unlovable. Yet, you have also often made them challenges to love, saying, in effect, to those who love you, love me in spite of these traits that are not lovable, and then I will know your love is true. You make the same statement to yourself as well, seemingly called to continuously challenge your own lovability. Anyone?
I'm happy to go.
Oh.
As much as you fear disappointment for yourself, and let this fear keep you from much you would desire. You fear as much or more your ability to disappoint others or to let them down. Some of you carefully constructed your lives to leave as little room as possible for disappointment to affect it or others you hold dear. Some of you have seemed to do the opposite, despite your best intentions, calling disappointment to yourself and being constantly under the pall of having disappointed others. Still others have always found their lives to be beyond their efforts at control and long ago gave up trying. Oh. Most of you fall somewhere in between, living a life full of good intentions and effort, and being surprised neither by what seems to work nor what seems to fail. It is yourself who, more often than not, you blamed for all your misfortune. You would have liked to be strong and capable and hated your own weakness. You would have liked to be even-tempered and hated the moods that seemed to come over you without cause. You did not understand when illness or depression stood in the way of your desires or the plans of others, and let such circumstances fill you with self-loathing. Who would like to go next?
You thus created a society that reflected this hatred of the self and that functioned on finding blame for every misfortune. Your illness became the result of behaviours ranging from smoking to too little exercise. Your accidents caused lawsuits where blame could be rightly placed. Your depression was blamed on the past. Even your success were often claimed to be at the expense of another, or to have come in spite of failing most severe. While society would seem to have done so much to cause your unhappiness, and while you have in turn blamed it as much as it blamed you, you never blamed anything quite as much as you blamed yourself.
This is the vengeful self we eliminate now. You have, in truth, replaced judgment with forgiveness, but you have not yet fully forgiven yourself. This statement may sound incongruous, for how could you have replaced judgment with forgiveness and not forgiven yourself? What this means is that you have replaced judgment with forgiveness as a belief. You have put this belief into practice in each instance where you have seen it to be needed. What this means is that you continue to fail to recognize your need to replace judgment with forgiveness when it comes to yourself. You have not realized how much you still consider unlovable about yourself. This does not mean that you are not lovable, only that you have not yet fully recognized your true self. Until you fully recognize yourself, you cannot fully love yourself. Until you fully love, you do not love in truth.
Oh, this is profound, isn't it?
Oh.
I love that sentence. Like, this is the vengeful self we eliminate now.
Mm.
Wow. be good to feel into that. Like, where is that part of me that's vengeful? Where is that in me? Anybody has that? Just checking. Anybody has a bit of a vengeful self there, or is it being completely eliminated? Yeah.
Not yet.
It's good to admit it, because you see, now we're admitting it, we're no longer defending it. In my defenselessness, myself, we're no longer defending it. And in that is the healing. We allow ourselves to feel this vengeful self. Unless it's not there. Anybody can say it's no longer there? In truth, deeply felt.
I have times of that,
Mm-hmm.
but never, it doesn't stay.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah.
Beautiful. See, that transparency is just so beautiful, isn't it? Yeah.
Both God and love. Did you want to say something more?
No, I'm good, darling.
Both God and love are found in relationship, where the truth becomes known to you. When the truth becomes known to you, you know God, for you know love. Beliefs, and especially the changed beliefs we have worked together to integrate into your thought system, are only a first step, a step toward holy relationship. These new beliefs of your new thought system must be wholehearted.
Yes.
They cannot be beliefs that exist only in your mind, a new philosophy to be applied to life. They must exist in your heart. And how can they exist in the heart of an unlovable self?
Wow.
You cannot think your way to the new life that calls to you. You can only get there by being who you are in truth. He's made that sentence again, the next sentence. He said it before as well. I have always loved you, for I have always recognized you.
Yes. Is it that difference? Like, you look at a person and then judgments comes along because you're looking only with your mind. But do the same thing and connect to your heart. Like, see anyone you judged before and see them with your heart. There's a relief there, right? It's like, oh, what was I thinking? What was I thinking?
Anyway, someone else to read?
I do it. 3.8.
9. Doesn't matter.
9.
Yeah, you read 3.8 again. It can never hurt.
All right. You cannot think your way to the new life that calls to you. You can only get there by being who you are in truth. I have always loved you, or I have always recognized you. While your recognition of yourself has come a long way through your learning of this course, yourself is still seen as a stumbling block. You might think that were you able to live in some ideal community away from all that has brought you to where you now are, you might be able to put the beliefs of this course into practice. If not quite this drastic, your thought might tell you that if you were in another job, devoid of certain familial responsibility or the need to provide for financial obligations, you will be much better suited to putting these beliefs into practice. Or you might look at your behaviors, your habits, your general personality, and simply declare yourself unsuitable for further learning. Whether you think such thoughts consciously or not, there is a part of you that still believes you are not good enough to be the good self you believe this course calls you to be. Most of you have now believed you are good enough for days, or hours, or moments. But something always and eventually calls you back to the idea that you are not good enough, or that you do not want to put the effort into being good enough. Like a person who believes she has a weight problem and knows a diet will be good for her. The diet is often rejected because failure is deemed a certainty. While you continue to see the call of this course as a call to goodness, you will surely fail.
Mm.
The self that I recognize as you is not other than who you are, but who you are. All that was ever other than who you are was the ego. The ego is gone. The ego was simply your idea of who you were. This idea was a complex set of judgments of good and bad, right and wrong, worthy and unworthy, at least as endless as it was worthless. Realize now the worldliness of this idea and let it go. And my defensiveness, my safety lies. Ah.
Oh, you're on mute, Cole.
Oh, that's sometimes good, isn't it?
Mm.
Did you want us to read on?
Yeah, I think we'll be good to go on because this is amazing.
Mm.
Yes. I turned.
I started reading because I was like, oh my God, this is so good.
Yeah. Chapter 4, the
Yeah.
dismantling of illusion. This is not a self-help course, but just the opposite. I wrote in my book, thank God. Sorry. Comments. This course has stated time and time again that you cannot learn on your own, and that resigning as your own teacher is the only way to learn a new curriculum.
And this, I'm gonna step in here because for so many years I thought I resigned as my own teacher.
Mm.
I was totally delusional. I told myself I resigned, but I did not.
Were you proud of it?
Yeah. I was like, that's a good question. Yes, totally. It's like there's so, and
I see that in Course in Miracles teachers. It's like, oh, I've reached this place.
Oh, no.
yeah, no.
Yeah.
Till this book came, and then until it was like a grace that took away this crazy idea that I can do anything.
Mm.
And in that was the resignation, just saying that I am still trying and trying and trying. And then it was shown to me that there's nothing I can do, not even resign as my own teacher.
Mm.
And in that, the resignation was given. But when that happens, when we truly resign, I mean, from my experience, when you truly resign, that Jesus will be standing right next to you. I can almost guarantee it. And it's not as a body, because he's not a body, right? But there will be a presence that says, okay, now we can begin. And that's how you know you resign. It actually becomes a profound experience of this presence. It's what Christ is. It's a pure presence that becomes like your own heart begins to open in a way that we cannot imagine heart to be, because imagination can never cover it. Anyway.
Cole, something big happens to you that you resign as your own teacher,
Yeah.
or not?
Yeah. Very big.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Very big. For me personally, that was paramount. That was crazy. There was like this unbearable lightness of being comes, you know.
Yeah.
It's not just like la. Oh, I'm not.
Yeah.
You can't even think that.
I would think if you really resign, you're still in your ego. Like you don't even, once you resign, you don't even realize you did.
Yeah, it's a given. That's what I'm saying. It's a given.
Yeah.
Like, because I thought through Course in Miracles and through everything, I felt like I felt so close to Jesus. No kidding. I was like, if I numbered it, it was like 9 out of 10. But that was the recognition that's like, hang on a second, it's not 10, it's 9. And in that moment, it was like, oh, Because in truth, there is either truth or not. There is no such thing as a little bit of truth. It's truth is the opposite. Yeah? There's not like, oh, I'm getting there. No, you're not. You're either there or you're not. It's like, do you accept yourself? Of course. Really? Yeah. 100%? Not 100, but definitely 95. But like 95 means no. Yeah. Because in truth, there is only truth or not. And truth is not a sentence of some kind that kind of like baffles your mind and goes like, ooh, now I know. Truth has nothing to do with actual thinking, but the experience of this inner explosion of your essence, of who you are as God created you, comes. It's a second coming. It comes on. And how that informs the mind and how mind becomes humbled. Yeah. So have you resigned?
He says somewhere in here, I am the corrector of false thinking. Where's that? Do you know, Cole?
I think
That really struck me.
That's in the Course in Miracles, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah, I think so.
I haven't been reading Course in Miracles.
Yeah, I think that's in there.
I've seen it somewhere recently.
What was it that you said, Alison?
Oh, Jesus says, I am the corrector of false thinking.
Mm.
And it sort of reminded me in the Urantia book, there's the thought adjusters. And I sort of thought about that for a while. And thought, yeah, there have been times when just I've had a thought and then it's just been tweaked. And suddenly I've seen things from a completely different viewpoint. And I guess, I mean, maybe it's the same thing.
My experience is I've had glimpses like that too, and the glimpse has lasted for a long time and little times. And I'm so grateful to meetings like this and another one that I'm in that remind me, I've been told, to resign from the teacher, and I'm so glad that I have people around me that push that. I don't know, are strong enough to and loving enough with me to do that when I don't even think that's what's happening. So my thing is remembering, and I've had it before for a while, and I feel it coming. I don't know. For me, it's kind of little rumbles, and then all of a sudden, like a big lightning bolt. Like then it is something huge, and then I'm never able to be. Well, I'm not able to be unchanged after that. So that's just my experience.
It stays, like you can't be ever.
Yeah.
You can't ever be fooled, basically.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's just
Should I go on?
A good question.
Oh, sorry.
I think it's a good question.
Yeah.
Have you truly resigned as your own teacher?
Yes.
You can only ask yourself that question, and your answer will be obviously clear. Because if you're absolutely confident, then if you have a little doubt, there is a doubt.
Truth strikes me silent, at least after a while. When I've been with it, if somebody says something to me and I've been with it for a while, it will strike me wonderfully, silent in a beautiful way. Okay, should we go on?
Yes, let's go on.
Sure. Just thanks, Ian, for that. He put up where that quotation came from. It's chapter 12.
It is in A Course of Love.
Yeah, just in the last treatise.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, Annie.
Ready? Okay. I'll read that again. I'll read the whole thing again. This is not a self-help course, but just the opposite. This course has stated time and time again that you cannot learn on your own, and that resigning as your own teacher is the only way to learn a new curriculum. This course will not call you to effort of any kind. It will not tell you to leave behind your addictions or to go on a diet or a fast. It will not even tell you to be kind. It does not tell you to be responsible and does not chide your irresponsibility. It does not claim that you were once bad, but that by following these tenets, you can become good. It gives no credence and no blame to any past cause for your depression, anxiety, meanness, illness, or insanity. It merely calls you to sanity by calling you to let go of illusion in favor of the truth. Whew. The sameness that this course calls you is not a sameness of body or of habit. It asks you not for monks or clones. It asks not that you give up anything but illusion, which is the giving up of nothing. I'll read one more. Before you can go on, you must take all such ideas from your mind. Such ideas are not small matters. Ideas are the foundation of the self. You cannot have an idea of goodness without having an idea of evil. You cannot have an idea of an ideal state without having an idea of a state that is not ideal. You cannot have an idea you call quote unquote right without believing in an idea that can be quote unquote wrong. Ooh. I'm complete.
The ego made such ideas necessary, for the ideas of the ego was wrong or inaccurate. The only way to bring that accuracy to light was through contrast. To function from an inaccurate foundation was to build upon that foundation. To function from an inaccurate foundation was to build upon that foundation. Building a structure with a foundation that would not support it was the only way for such an error to be seen as an error was through its dysfunction. The only way to correct such an error is to dismantle the structure and begin again with a foundation capable of being built upon. This is what we have done. We have taken away the foundation of illusion, the one error that became the basis of all that came after it. You cannot make another error such as this, for it is the one error. Does it not make sense that the only error possible is that of not being who you are? You can dismantle the ego and build another in its place. And this has at times been done in the individual with great training, as in military training, or in cases of great abuse when a second ego personality is developed to save the first. The ego has also been dismantled and rebuilt over time and been seen as the rise and fall of civilization. But as we have said before, the only replacement that will work is the replacement of illusion with the truth. The very purpose of this treatise is to prevent the replacement of illusions with illusion, or one ego self with another. The training of the course, while gentle in nature, has been great as that of any military training, as great as any emotional trauma that has left one in a state of emptiness. This is, in fact, the state in which you currently find yourself. I'll finish that. I repeat, and will do so again and again, that the ego self is gone from you. Whether you fully realize this or not matters not. This, a course of love, is accomplished. Now, the choice is before you to do one or two things: to proceed towards love or fear. If you proceed with fear, you will assemble a new ego self, an ego self that perhaps will seem superior to the old, but which will nonetheless still be an ego self. If you proceed with love, you will come to know your Christ self.
Mm.
Wow.
I was just thinking it comes down to choice. I think it's choice. Or it comes down to a heart being jolted, awakened.
Yeah, that would make sense of glimpses. Just kind of got the picture of like, wow, I've, I guess put on different egos throughout the years that I've been seeking. And so of course I'm just going to get a glimpse until I surrender. Absolutely. Then you know, there'll continue to be glimpses, I imagine, because, you know, within the seeking, there are glimpses. But yeah, thank you. That was beautiful.
When you talk about glimpses, my heart, it comes to the picture of glimpses of love, and there's a feeling attached to that. It's when I feel the glimpse of love and feel that peace, and then when I get the glimpses of fear, I feel the torment of chains that we spoke about earlier. Lesson today. There's two different feelings coming through. I like the idea of glimpses because you can actually, it becomes a tangible reality that you can very gently touch and surrender to. That's it. Touch and surrender to the glimpse. And then the glimpse becomes more glimpses.
Like the holy instances.
That's what I was going to say, the holy instant, or revelations, or when miracles happen, something shifts in me, and I just have not completely surrendered to that. Yeah, forever. Like, let the other stuff go. Be there. Ooze in it, as Cole would say. Ooze. Let it ooze.
So it's like having a bad dream. And then you're conscious and it's like, oh, no problem. It's not real.
Yeah. It's an instantaneous remembering. And yeah, that happens, like it said here, only in relationships. Only when I'm in relationship to others, Jesus, God, like only when I'm there in that moment, in that now, that eternal now, do I feel that the depth of that. But yeah, thank you.
So shall we
I
move
see.
on to chapter 5? Yeah, go, Samuel.
I see that the last sentence as the way forward. It says, if you proceed with love, you will come to know your Christ self. So if you take the first paragraph and that sentence, that is the way forward. It's like the course is not, as stated time and again, that you cannot learn on your own in midst of all the other things. But then at the end, it says, if you proceed with love, you will come to know your Christ self. So it's only about knowing your Christ self and nothing else.
Well, I think we have enough time to go to the next one, original purpose.
It's only a short chapter too.
Yeah, we are just perfect. Anyone who hasn't read yet would like to?
Anthony or Andy?
What page are we up to?
We're up to chapter 5 in the third treatise.
Page.
I'm page 300.
Oh, okay. What's the chapter called? No,
chapter 5, original purpose.
Maybe Andy wants to bring and I'll find read and I'll find
it won't be too far away. Just find where chapter 5 is. It's normally within a few pages.
Original purpose.
Yes.
Okay. Hi. Yeah. Sorry. That was not on purpose. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Hi, Anthony.
While you have just been told that, oh God, while you have just been told that you now exist in a state of emptiness, this is not a state to be feared. Yet it is this fear of emptiness that has in the past made those who have experienced it rush to find the easiest and most available replacement. The ego, or that which has become familiar, if not known. While few of you have ever before reached the emptiness caused by the complete absence of the ego, just as few of you have never felt some sort of absence. All the lessons you have drawn to yourself in your lifetime have worked towards this absence in the hopes of filling the emptiness with the fullness of truth. As with the gentle learning of this course, not all emptiness has come to you at the hands of suffering. Each time you have fallen in love, you have emptied a space for love to fill. Each time you have felt true devotion, you have emptied a space for love to fill. You have emptied of the ego self as creative moments of inspiration filled you, and emptied of the ego self in moments of connection with God. Conversely, just do one more. You have emptied by the lessons of grief as the loss of love has led to a loss of self. You have been emptied by a loss of you have been emptied by a loss of self due to illness or addiction, depression, or even physical exhaustion. All of these things you have brought you to yourself, for they have been the only way past the ego's guarded gate. Yeah.
You have tried to live in a house built on a faulty foundation, attempting to make do with what you have. All your time was spent in making repairs, and this time spent kept you too busy to see the light that was always visible through the crack and peeling walls that you built. That you would even actually, that you would eventually call to yourself a fire that would burn these walls to ash, or a flood that would wash them away, was as much a part of the survival mechanism of your real self as was the rush to rebuild part of the survival mechanism of the ego self.
Mm.
Hi, Andy. Did you want to have a turn at reading?
No, you already said in the chat.
Oh, okay.
I simply can't read today.
Who's reading now then? Is it Kim?
Yeah, I can go. All this you have already tried to do. These lessons you have already tried to learn. This course has come so that these many things that you have tried need not be repeated, just as the crucifixion came to end the need to learn through suffering and death. The story that I lived was appropriate for the time in which I lived it, and has an appropriateness that continues even now. I walk the earth in order to reveal a God of love. The question of the time, a question still much in evidence, was how mighty could God's love be if it were given to a people who suffered. The answer was that God's love was so mighty that he would even allow the death of his only son to redeem the world. The death of an only son, then as now, would be seen as a sacrifice of enormous proportions, the greatest sacrifice of all. The point of the story, however, was not one of sacrifice, but one of gift-giving. The greatest gift of all was given, the gift of redemption. The gift of redemption was the gift of an end to pain and suffering, and a beginning of resurrection and new life. It was a gift meant to empty the world of the ego self and to allow the personal self to live on as the one true self, one true Son of God.
Beautiful.
The gift of redemption was given once and for all. It is the gift of restoration to original purpose. Without there having been an original purpose worthy of God's Son, the crucifixion would have ended life in form and returned the sons of man to the formless. Instead, the sons of man were freed to pursue their original purpose. Oh, I guess I might as well finish it, right? This story has been repeated endlessly in time extending both forward and back. Each father's son will die. This means not what you have taken it to mean, an endless series of generations passing. What this means is that In each, the ego will die, and the self be reborn to life eternal. Without rebirth of the self, the original purpose goes unfulfilled. Since God is original purpose, original cause, the origin of self and of relationship, original purpose cannot go unfulfilled. What this means is that the illusion will be no more and truth will reign. Such is the reign of God.
Whoa.
Mm. Mm.
While you have just been told that you now exist in a state of emptiness, this is not a state to be feared. Yet it is this fear of emptiness that has, in the past, made those who have experienced it rush to find the easiest and most available replacement. The ego, or that which has become familiar, not known.
All these smiling people.
Darlings are beautiful.
Mm.
Mm.
I think I had to share chapter, the paragraph number 1, what Caroline just read again. That was my experience when I discovered all this stuff. I was in darkness. I was in total darkness. And suddenly, what are you? Somebody asked me, are you a body with a spirit? Or are you a spirit with a body? In that moment, I realized all my life living from the body, and I never embraced the spirit. So that moment, that thought that I am a spirit pulled me out of the darkness. That simple thought. And it's crazy, but I felt that emptiness at that moment. What the fuck? I was like, and I'm like, okay, spirit, I do not know you, but I want to know you. Let's talk about it. And yeah, that was my real connection to the spirit. I can say from this place, total chaos, I went to with me in that emptiness. And I'm like, oh, Papa. But I hold myself to the truth, to the spirit. And it was back and forth to chaos, to peace. And that's what brought me here with all of you. Listening to Cole and listening to all of you. Heaven is real and is here. The truth is real and is here. So I say I had to share this because that paragraph really touched me. Thank you. Thank you. Wow.
Sorry, guys, I gotta run. I'll catch you very soon. You can keep going, but I just gotta go.
Mm-hmm. It's lovely to see you, Cole.
Beautiful.
See you, Cole.
Bye. I've got to go soon as well.
Thank you, Ruben, for sharing this.
Mm.
And a good evening.
Yes.
Thank you, Ruben.
Namaste.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm.
Night all.
Bye, everyone.
Bye,
Yeah.
Happy
everyone.
lunchtime, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. See ya.